Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is AmzroSevca here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Horizon Wave theme engine that I've been working on for the past 6 years. I just want to give you guys a bit of more in-depth look at what exactly the theme engine is and what it's capable of and what it is running on, what it's utilizing to make the experience possible. So to preface, for anyone who's not familiar with Horizon Wave, it is a theme engine for Windows that is supposed to bring the experience of game consoles to PC to make a sort of hybrid console PC experience. I know that for a lot of PC gamers, usually their desktops look pretty barren, or they look really cluttered and really disorganized. It just doesn't have that feel of like a console. Doesn't have that kind of organization or theming, the aesthetics of a game console, which makes them special. So this got started as a project of me wanting to originally port the aesthetics of the Nintendo Switch to PC, which was being done at the time, I believe, by Play Night, or it was maybe started up a year after I had started working on Horizon Wave. And that's one way you can technically get the console experience on PC. There's also Launchbox and other, launcher software that you can use that is kind of like Steam to give you that console-like experience on desktop. But my goal was to pretty much make, kind of transform Windows to be able to have like a native look of like a console without having to run software on top of Windows base, because when you run things like Rainmeter or Play Night or whatever, obviously that consumes PC resources and, it can slow down your system and all that. Same with like live wallpapers and all that stuff. But we're not going to get into that today. We're just going to go on ahead and focus on what's here. So the first thing that I want to talk about is profiles. So with Horizon Wave, you do have profiles just like you would on a game console, whether that be Xbox or Nintendo or anything like that. So you can go up here, actually, you can select the profile, and you will be greeted with the controller profiles, data management, and then access to eShop and Nintendo account. For this one, the way I have it set up here, this is obviously targeting Nintendo stuff. I'm right now running, this is like the Switch theme of Horizon Wave. You can obviously, of course, if you're using a different theme base, so if you're trying to maybe Xbox 360, or maybe the PS2 or PS3, you can, of course, have links go to different things as needed. So if you step in controller profiles, these are configurations that will, be stored here for either different emulators or different games. Could also be device emulators, might not be game emulators, could be device emulators for maybe mobile games that you might save controller profiles from, or keyboard profiles. You also have data management. So here you can pretty much access, your cloud files. So if you have like local saves from, say, Steam or from emulator games that you might upload to the cloud, you can then, of course, access that and go straight to the cloud. There's obviously different cloud services, so whichever one you're using, you, of course, can just make a direct link to it right here on the desktop, which is something that's nice that Windows allows. You also have your local saves. So this is, for me, organized by platform. And so I can find all of my saves that are these are all the direct save paths for again, different console platforms. So like we got like Windows MSW here, which is Microsoft Windows. We have N64. We have, Nintendo Wii. And so all of these are, again, set up with the emulators that way. It was set up with emulators and also Steam to make sure that the saves are being copied or being sent to the right location, and it's an easy way to keep everything organized. There's also save states for a similar purpose. So we can go back here and we can give it a little test. So like we want to go to the eShop storefront, which is Nintendo's digital store. It will then open up, obviously, their online store page, and of course then you can look through for games and things like that. And similar thing with the Nintendo account. And of course, right now I'm not signed in, but you can obviously sign in and then keep yourself signed in, so you can just view like coins you've gathered on your account and things like that. Another thing to discuss is also, as you can see, you can also have multiple profiles, as many as you want, because obviously with the desktop interface, you can add as many shortcuts as you want until you fill up the entire screen. So, it's typical Windows stuff. I do now want to talk about the dock. So pretty much the theme engine has docks embedded directly into backgrounds in a saved image file. However, those docks can be changed out because the background files and docks and everything are stored separately, so they can easily be switched around in apps like Photoshop or GIMP or whatever to suit your needs. You are obviously going to have different display sizes, so you're going to have to use different dock sizes, and they're really, really, really easy to conform to different screens. because you're literally just resizing the dock within like GIMP or again Photoshop or something basic like that. So inside the dock, you have your games that surround the core options of the computer system. And well, actually, I should clarify the computer system and also the system of Horizon Wave. So around here, obviously, you can see I have like Minish Cap, Smash Bros, Sonic Frontiers, and stuff. And usually, like these are pretty much folders. And then you can open them up and get a direct link. The reason why they're not direct link icons on the surface is because these icons in here, as you can see, they have this little shortcut tab, which you can technically get rid of with the registry edit. However, that's a little bit dicey, and also you still probably want to know what is a shortcut, what isn't a shortcut, so I wouldn't recommend doing that, and I've never personally done that. Instead, it's a better idea just to have all the links and stuff pretty much encased in a folder, and it also allows you to then also store multiple games within a folder. So if we look here, like Team United, I'm able to then launch out of this folder United Forever or Nations Infinity, which is a mod of Nations Forever and United Forever, and so that's pretty convenient there. So then the next thing we're going to talk about is themes, but I'm quickly gonna pause this and I'm going to quickly fix something to be right back. And so we're going to do a little editing magic. Okay, so we're back and we're going to go on ahead and take a look here at themes. So let's go on ahead and click in here. So themes is home to both the applied decorations that you see throughout the desktop and the trying to think of what the name is. The login cover or the login screen background and a couple other features. And so this pretty much takes care of backgrounds, more or less. Everything else that you're gonna see relating to like icons and stuff, we're gonna touch on once we get to the settings. But just kind of like as a quick overview, you can come in here and you can select which theme you want to use, which will again control the docked background, and then also will control the Windows login background. And so you can of course choose different things from here. Of course, also then look at it through here. There are some of these themes do have multiple like sub themes. So for instance, if we were to go into like the Nintendo Switch Rain theme, you'll be able to find like light and dark themes for it, like right here. And if you go into, say, the Sega Dreamcast theme, you can also find multiple themes under here too, multiple different dock backgrounds. You might also find multiple different login covers as well. Then there also is Radiant Crate Digital Home, which is different from the Horizon Wave theme store, which is I should note it is modeled after the Nintendo 3DS theme store. If you cannot already tell, but the Radiant Crate Digital Home, this is pretty much they're complex, I guess, theme packs that you can use to pretty much just host, or stream like digital content of various kinds. And so in here I have everything organized, obviously by themes that range from just consoles to like video game franchises to pretty much whatever your needs are. And this is what RSXN, one of my recent projects, has been running on. So it's been pretty much a live showcase of Radiant Crate Digital Home at work, and it can be used for multiple purposes. And this is all tied into running on OBS, which I will show you guys soon in a bit. So there's that, and we'll come back to Radiant Crate Digital Home in a bit. I wanted to talk about library. So this is pretty much just home to all the games that I have. So you have your consoles listed by company. So you have like Microsoft, which includes Steam stuff. So PC games are going to be under Microsoft. Obviously you got like Xbox consoles. You also have Nintendo consoles. You have PlayStation consoles and so forth. Nintendo consoles, I obviously have, since different emulators are sometimes like multi-emulators, they cover like multiple consoles. I do have labels as to what consoles like these different emulators cover. It doesn't necessarily, I think, list all the ones, like all the consoles that they cover, but I try to get like the key ones. That way I know like what I'm working with. Like for instance, for Dolphin, it's like, GameCube, Wii, Triforce. For MGBA, it's like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, that sort of thing. And then under these folders, you might have noticed that there's some subfolders. So you have launchers for, you might have various emulators per console. I know that I use different emulators for different consoles depending on what I'm doing, whether it be I'm modding or I'm streaming or I'm just like trying to do some speedrun stuff. You also have a theme box. So this is where themes that can be used with OBS are stored. If you want to use like custom viewport frames, this is where all this stuff is stored, along with maybe like shaders that you can also apply in a live processing software like OBS. There also is mod packs, so you can find all your ROM hacks or your video game mods or anything like that that you have in addition to your games library. You want to keep them sorted and organized. So for me personally, like I have mod packs sorted by game, obviously, and then you can click into a game. So let's say we went with Melee, you'll be able to find mods, and so the only mod I currently have installed is Slippy. And for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, got like Project Plus and so forth. And so you can keep your modifications and ROM hacks and things of games, stored there if you'd like. Also, I do have a folder for local disks, so sometimes I do not have games stored on my my games drive. Instead, sometimes I'll burn games and I'll store them locally on the desktop if I want quick access to them. If I'm needing them in order to play a game online, or if I'm just trying to test out, a new game mod, or if I'm like in the midst of ROM hacking games, that's usually where I will store local disks or local files of those games. So anyways, that's kind of like the general layout of the library. There also is mobile games here. Retro Store is kind of home to just like a variety of either dead console lines or also arcade stuff. So we got like Techno Pirate for obviously like the more modern arcade games. We got Redream for the Sega Dreamcast, Sega Fusion for older Sega stuff. We got MAME and all that good stuff. So that's like the library in general. There also is, actually, before I wrap that up, I do want to show you guys too, under like Windows Program, which is PRG, there is a split between launchers and then games that are native to Windows but are not like offered on Steam or other storefronts. And so I have them all organized here by name and with their icons. Actually, I can open up this window a little bit so it makes a nice little box to show my 25 game collection. But yeah, so this is where games, again, that are not offered in storefronts are going to be stored, that I can have easy access to, and things are, well sorted in them, easy to access. There is also the launchers, which I've sorted, stuff like Battle.net, I have Origin from EA, I got Steam, and obviously Uplay from Ubisoft for the newer Trackmania, which I haven't played in a long time, but that's another story. And these are all neatly organized by their executables and installation files and extensions, which is how most of the programs are set up within Horizon Wave, just to keep things straight, organized, really easy to see, easy to understand. But anyway, so the other thing, the thing right next to it is the recycle bin, which obviously is just given a custom icons. It's very easy to change the Windows interface. It's nothing really too special there. But let's take a look at the settings folder. This is where a lot of stuff, and I mean a lot of stuff, happens. So this is split into 5 parts: the aesthetics, the BGM deck, the SFX packs, which is sound effects packs, the operating system engine, and then the DG screen, which is pretty much for screen holders, for cleaning, or for like standby, but we'll get into it a little bit more. So if we go to aesthetics, you can find icons for pretty much everything you're going to see in Horizon Wave. So you got your taskbar icons, you got favicons for custom browser stuff. We'll touch on that later. You have your desktop icons, which are, let me move this out of the way, are like right here. These core desktop icons right here. Games are, of course, right underneath that, which are the ones that are around it. You also have your profile icons, which I can click in here really quick. They have different colors to match different themes and things like that. So you find like dark mode icons or light mode. Global files are kind of used amongst them all. And then you have storage, which is this folder right here. That's subfolders that have specific icons tied to them. And then you have general system icons. And then you have service icons, which are used for the folders within profiles. And so in here, for instance, if I go in the taskbar, you can select, you have like ribbon colors for the background of the taskbar in case you need to select a specific color. You have colors of just like the taskbar icons themselves. So you can switch, for instance, between like, here's like the pack of blue icons. Some of those programs obviously are not listed in the taskbar, so I'm not using them right now. You have orange, you have red, and the color library is just constantly growing as new themes get added and more colors are needed. But it was, and then you also have your default set, which is what everything's kind of built off of. It's a little bit more monochrome, and then you also have your standard desktop icons as well, which would be in here. These are like the default icons, and you can see how they're actually built. There's individual files that are saved per layer, so that they can all actually be easily modified at a later date if people want to remix them, or if they're trying to match them to a certain theme, or they want to change out an element in them. But anyways, yeah, so all of this that you see in here pretty much controls, well, I shouldn't say controls, but it decorates the entirety of the interface. So even here, when we're looking inside of like File Explorer, you can see that there's custom icons assigned to these default paths and default folders, which this does require a registry key edit. You cannot do this natively within Windows. Why? I don't know. They haven't added features for it yet. But usually it's either through a little bit of a registry code trick, which is very safe. Again, as long as you know what you're doing and you're not, messing around. As long as you're just copying the code exactly as it is and you know exactly what file path you're applying, you'll be fine. And there's also then icons, custom icons assigned to drives, which is they're pretty much icon files stored directly on the drives that will be represented when loaded on a Windows desktop, as long again as it's assigned by I think it's it might be a bat file. I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. But I do know it's a configuration file to read the icon from the drive. So these icons, all that you see here, are stored, say, for instance, down here in System, which you can see. System also stores profile avatars that are used for either on the Windows login screen or used for user folder directory under like the main C drive. So that is another thing that this folder serves a purpose for. But anyway, so yeah, everything that you see on the desktop can have its color changed, or it can have its graphics changed, and that's like the really cool thing. You probably saw earlier in the little montage that was at the beginning of this video that you can have like completely changed graphics for like all the folders and icons and stuff to match like even console themes. If you have like a Sega Dreamcast theme going or whatever. Let's see, what else is there to show? Programs, yeah, so this is a programs library, neatly lined up pretty much by genre of program, and it's the purpose that it serves. Editing programs, I believe, is the biggest folder where I pretty much have all of the programs that I use to go about doing my daily work, being a multimedia designer. So like recording programs, I got like audio editing programs, graphic editing software, video editors, I think are stored in here. Yes, they are, because I see paragraphs. So video editors are also stored in here. And so pretty much, yeah, any kind of editing or any kind of crafting. So even if it's like 3D sculpture, or 3D modeling, I should say, or digital illustration, all of that can be pretty much found in here. And then under the other folders, it's literally just the same story. Program readers is literally for just coding. It might be IDEs and different things like that. And so yeah, it's easy to just keep track of programs and where things are at. Internet browsers are a little bit of a special story. They have some unique subfolders, this is still the general setup that all programs follow. You have your installation file and executable, which is the direct shortcut, and you have extensions, which usually will, save where I'll have browser extensions, or maybe I'll have like wallpapers and stuff, which I'll show you later. But yeah, just to keep everything like, again, nice, neat, organized, straightforward, really easy to swap out and manage. And then there is storage, which is pretty much home to all more, pretty much, I guess, like, not really personal files, but like media files and personal files, I guess. Would be a good way to put it. And so the sorting bin is where temporary files go, that I store, if they are on their way to be put onto one of my big archive drives, because I do regularly backup stuff. So sorting bin might be a temporary holding spot for different files. These are right here that you're looking at. These are files that I use to pretty much log all of my activity on services like Discord and Revolt. Then also there's an academics folder because I am currently in school. This will probably change to something different in the future, but just something I can keep all of my academic work in. And then there's media files, which is stores fonts of the computer. So any downloaded fonts. I'm right now been growing up a font library for I want to say about 4 or 5 years, I think. I think it's actually, no, it's been 5 years. So now it's 2023. So it's been 5 years. I've been growing a font library. Been pretty much, categorizing them just by their usage or their style. And so, this just makes it really easy for me as a designer. If I come across fonts like, hey, this would be really good for design the feature, I want to save it somewhere. Sometimes I just download fonts because I'm like, hey, this font would look sick, in a live stream, or maybe I would have set a custom font for a program and I would just rather, not look at something plain like Arial. And then there's also, I do have an emoticon library. So this is save the PDF file. I can copy any emotes out of there. I don't really use it that much. I used to use emoticons a lot back in the day because I really liked emoticons. Still kind of have a soft spot for them. But that's what that is. Movie library doesn't really get used a whole lot. I think it's actually empty right now. There have been a couple times where I've sometimes either like burned movies, or maybe I've done like DVR stuff, or maybe like recording like a YouTube video or whatever for like viewing locally later. But it doesn't really get used a whole lot, and thus it's empty. My music library. So this is where I back up all of my local music from discs and things like that. Or if I bought music off of, Bandcamp or other online services. And so this is pretty much my extensive music library that I've been building now for 6 years, and it has now just recently reached 6,500 songs. So there's a lot in here, a lot of different albums, a lot of different artists, a lot of different genres. I've been getting really big into music. I actually even think I still have, I have like a music catalog where I keep track of genres that I'm exploring or have discovered. And so, it helps me just find more music. That's just, good to listen to. But anyways, just taking like a look inside of any subfolders. All of this is organized music, all with proper, this is all like hand done. This isn't automatic. I've used MP3 Tag, really good program to go in and do custom metadata on music files and things like that. And there's stuff relating to that actually to Horizon Wave that I'm going to show you here in a second regarding music. But so I guess this is just me flexing my music library real quick because I absolutely love music. I'm a big music head, and I love collecting music, and I love listening to it. But anyway, so about music for Horizon Wave, there is actually background music integrated Horizon Wave, courtesy of VLC player, which allows you to do a whole lot with media files and allows you to build automatic playlists and a lot of cool stuff. And you can even set like pretty much auto tasks with it too. You can have it like start up on your PC startup so that when you get to your desktop, there's music already playing, kind of like a real console. I do not have it set up that way because I prefer to have my PC start quiet and not have automatic sounds playing. But to literally just turn on background music, all I have to do is really just click this VLC media player icon down here, and there you go. You got some background menu music, and you can go on ahead if you don't want to have it open on taskbar, and you can literally just hide it in taskbar, and you won't even know the program's open, and you will have some nice background menu music. So this current playlist is dedicated to Nintendo consoles, into like Nintendo music menu music, and this is all under BGM deck, which I'll go on ahead and show you guys. So let me go on ahead and stop this music real quick. That way it's not drowning me out too much. So under BGM deck, here is where all background music playlists are stored for different themes or for different purposes. So like for instance, the Sonic Snow Life BGM pack is tied over here. If I open up the themes here and go in the Horizon Wave theme store, it is tied here to the Sonic 22 Winter Glow, which was a 2022 holiday winter theme that I made that was like based on Sonic the Hedgehog. A little bit, not a lot. Sonic's just on the bottom right corner of it with some of his pals. And then there is a custom music BGM pack. So you'll have dedicated music BGM packs that you might put together and store, but then you might also want to have like a custom playlist of music. So in here, either I can add together various different like playlists that VLC can, of course, just search through all these subfolders and play all the music together. So this is pretty much made up primarily, again, of Nintendo console and menu music. Or alternatively, I could add in music there from my ever-growing music library, which, then VLC would play in the background if I, wanted something other than listening to Nintendo music. But I really do like a lot of Nintendo background music. So this is currently what the custom, BGM pack is made up of. It allows me to listen to all the Nintendo music from these various different BGM albums that I have, sorted these, BGM packs. So that's pretty useful. Really easy to customize your background menu music experience, so to speak, or just background music in general. If you just want to have an automatic playlist of certain tunes that you want to have playing while you're doing whatever, on your PC, whether it be work or playing video games, you can. What else is there that I want to show? The sound effects packs you might have heard. So like when I minimize windows or when I click on items, you will hear some sound effects. You also will hear sound effects if I was to plug in a USB device such as a game controller. So I'll quickly do that here. And should hear something here in a little bit. And you might have already heard it. I don't know. Some of the sound effects I cannot hear through my headphones because they're Bluetooth, so there's like some travel latency. But there's a sound right there. So that was a USB connection confirmed sound. This beat, like the sound effects pack that you're listening to right now, this is an Nintendo Switch sound effects pack. It is the only one that I currently have. I might try to get some other sound effect packs from whatever various sources that I can. But yeah, so you can have your entire Windows machine be loaded with sound effects of game consoles, if that is what you so desire. And I just disconnected the controller, so you might have just heard a disconnection sound. And if you didn't, then it may be slightly delayed. I don't know. Because again, I'm wearing Bluetooth headphones, so I can't exactly hear all these sound effects as they happen. Because again, I don't know, there's some latency going on. Then there is the OS engine. This is stuff just relating either to, again, quickly accessing the core of Windows, the control panel, or task manager, or the sound settings, which of course is where a lot of custom sound effects are set. You also have notes for the operating system changelog, which is pretty much like changelog of things done to Horizon Wave, things that have been updated. And then there's also operating system information, which just gives basic information about the sizing of icons, how much the recording should be rounded, how things should be styled to keep a consistent theme. And so that's what OS Engine deals with. And then DG Screen, like I talked about before, this pretty much has wash screens and screensavers and things. Some of you might be asking, what is a wall screen? Pretty much wall screens are just these high contrast, they're just black or white screens that I personally use to set into a full screen. I'll open it up with Earthen, which is a really, really, really good photo viewer. And I'll full screen it, or you can use any other photo viewer and just full screen these blank cards. And they just help me see, specks of dust and dirt and stuff on my TV screen, or my PC monitor, that I just need to clean off. So those are my wash screens. And then there's also screensavers that I sometimes set in the background if I'm just listening to music and I just, want to have a chill image displayed in the background. Maybe I'm not even using my PC, maybe I'm reading a book or doing something else. And so I like to sometimes set a screensaver. I do also have a black screensaver because my TV, I think it's OLED. So when I set a black screen, pretty much the screen, either it goes to sleep or it's already just black, and so it just, it saves energy. So that's also nice. Contrast test screen is done because a lot of screens have a lot of different color configurations, and they don't all treat colors the same. So I use this to pretty much measure contrast on my TV and get colors to look right to my liking. You can also use a lot of different services online that will do the same thing and probably do it better. But this is kind of just a local quick option if you just want to check against colors on your display. So that's everything regarding the settings of Horizon Wave overall. And then of course everything else is handled through Windows settings and the whole setting system that it has set up. Now the next thing that I want to show you guys, I actually want to go over here quickly to captures before I jump back to RCDH stuff. In captures, this literally just stores video captures, which you can see plenty right here. One is of course recording in progress right now. But that is where all of my OBS captures will go, at least for my main installation of OBS. And then for images, this is where a lot of screenshots from either if I'm taking desktop print screen screenshots, or if I'm taking screenshots inside of Steam or emulators, this is where screenshots will go. So to kind of show you guys that, if I go in here to the library, let's say we go on ahead and open up, let's say it's something like Instance 4. We go to Project 4. you can see that it's configured in settings as my directories. There's a screenshot path that goes straight to desktop captures. So I'm able to capture any gameplay screenshots from those emulators straight here to images, which I can either edit or, do whatever I want, send it to friends or whatever. So super easy to find stuff. I don't use the native libraries that come with Windows, such as like music, pictures, and videos, because they make a lot of default folders that are kind of just unnecessary. I don't like them a lot. And so I tend to avoid using those folders. Same thing with like music. I don't like having my music stored in those folders. Rather, it's nicer to have it in its own created directory to be kind of integrated into this system that I got going on with Horizon Wave. So to go back to the library, or not the library, my bad. To go back to themes, to talk a little bit more about Radiant Create Digital Home, because of the thing I'm obviously most excited about. So you have, of course, Horizon Wave theme engine that handles the decorations and the visual aspect of Windows, and even some of like the more audible parts, background music, sound effects. But when we're looking at wanting to stream stuff, so you got this content that you want to stream. If you want to stream games or maybe music or whatever you're doing with your friends, maybe you're browsing websites or have a little commentary podcast. This is where Radiant Create Digital Home comes in. It started off, well, actually, it still is a project that literally is made to capture like it's supposed to be kind of like a digital space that you can view on a screen. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. So if we go in here to the themes that I showed earlier, obviously there are themes dedicated to different things, but they also not only are like themed after different things, they serve different purposes. So, and I'm going to have to switch over to OBS here in a second to show you guys that more in depth. And then there's also stingers, which are obviously used for transitions between things. So these are organized by different sets. There's like Stinger 01. Demos are also, these are used for like more animated visuals and backgrounds and stuff, which again, I'll show you once we switch to OBS. Exports is just keeping backups of all of these different Radiant crates. Or I like to call them digital homes, because it's really what they are. They're digital homes. And then there's a toolbox that obviously is home to all sorts of tools that are compatible with OBS to enhance the streaming experience. And then there is then sounds, and this is where music playlists are stored. There's also a sound effect collection if there are sound effects that you want to be have associated with different digital homes, or I think they're called scene collections in OBS, but I call them digital homes. But then there's also the music playlist, which you can have for various different things. So these I use for I think some of you might have heard the Sonic Xmas Time music collection this past holiday season, because that's back when I was live streaming Mario Galaxy and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Common Slux is what has been the station for RSXN, and that is currently what gets music added to it slowly but surely. I've started off with a lower amount than what all the music that I do have on my desktop, because I have to convert it into a specific format for streaming. But anyways, so we're going ahead and switch over to OBS here and see what Radiant Create Digital Home is all about. So we go here into OBS, which we are right now recording on. I don't know if it will let me. You know what? I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if it'll let me switch to a different different like setup without it stopping the recording. I'm kind of tempted to switch and see what happens. Right now you're looking at my workstation canvas. This is what I use for general recording, just like prototyping and work and things like that. Okay, we're gonna take the plunge. If this stops the recording midway, I will simply just have to like restart the recording, and so there'll be like a weird jump cut. So bear with me.